The world is holding its breath as the fog of war descends upon the Middle East with a density we haven't seen in generations. For the last 48 hours, the global headlines have been dominated by a singular, earth-shaking claim: the death of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Reports of a massive joint U.S.-Israeli kinetic strike on his Tehran compound have sent shockwaves through every stock exchange, every military command center, and every household from Washington to Beijing. We have seen the satellite imagery of the rubble. We have heard the triumphant proclamations from Western leaders. We have seen the black banners draped across Iranian state television. But beneath the surface of this apparent finality, a much more complex, much more dangerous narrative is beginning to emerge. Today, we are looking at the possibility that what we are witnessing is not the end of a regime, but the execution of the ultimate war strategy. Is Ali Khamenei truly gone, or is he leading the battlefield from the shadows with determination that has caught his adversaries off guard? The title of our deep dive today says it all. Khamenei is alive and leading the battlefield with determination. This is just a war strategy. Now, I know what many of you are thinking. The official confirmation came from Tehran itself. The mourning periods have been declared. The international community has already begun debating the succession. But in the world of high-stakes Iranian geopolitics, nothing is ever as it seems. Historically, the Islamic Republic has mastered the art of maslahat, the principle of expediency for the preservation of the system. In this crisis, we are seeing signs of coordinated, highly sophisticated ghost command structure. While the world watches funeral processions, Iranian missile batteries are showing a level of precision and strategic synchronization that suggests a singular, determined hand at the wheel. We are entering a period of unprecedented ambiguity. The rumors of Khamenei's demise are being leveraged as a psychological weapon, a way to lure the U.S. and Israel into a false sense of mission accomplished, while the Iranian axis of resistance mobilizes for a total regional conflagration. This isn't just a news update. It is an analysis of a masterclass in asymmetric survival. We are going to look at why the reported decapitation of the Iranian leadership hasn't resulted in the expected collapse of the IRGC. We're going to examine the tactical anomalies on the ground, the fact that the battlefield determination being shown by Iranian forces is actually increasing, not diminishing, in the wake of the strikes. Is this the greatest intelligence success of the 21st century, or the most elaborate trap ever set in the history of modern warfare? If Khamenei is indeed alive, he is currently directing a defensive and offensive posture that seeks to turn the Middle East into a quagmire that will swallow his enemies whole. We're talking about a strategy of strategic patience meeting calculated disappearance. In this video, we are going to tear apart the official narrative. We are going to look at the historical precedents of leaders faking their exits to consolidate power or move to secure, hardened command centers. We are going to analyze the movement of the Quds Force and the sudden shift in Iranian naval posture in the Strait of Hormuz. Everything points to a leadership that is very much in control, very much determined, and very much following a script that was written long before the first missile hit Tehran. Prepare yourselves. This is a deep dive into the heart of the shadow war. We are looking beyond the headlines, beyond propaganda, and straight into the strategic mind of a regime that believes its survival is divinely ordained. This is a story of a leader who, even if physically absent from the public eye, has never been more present on the battlefield. This is the war strategy of the century. To understand the current chaos, we have to look at the anatomy of the strikes that occurred on February 28th. The reports were surgical, a joint operation involving the most advanced stealth assets in the U.S. and Israeli inventories. The target was the Bite robbery, the administrative and residential compound of the supreme leader. Within hours, the narrative was set. The decapitation strike had succeeded. But let's look at the immediate aftermath. In a typical regime collapse, the death of a singular, absolute authority figure leads to instant paralysis. Orders stop flowing. Communication breaks down. Factions begin to fight for the vacuum. But that is not what we're seeing in Iran right now. Instead, we are seeing a Hydra effect. For every reported loss, the Iranian military response has become more decentralized and yet more effective. This brings us to the core of our analysis, the war strategy of presence. If Khamenei is alive, and there are significant intelligence whispers suggesting he was moved to a hardened, deep mountain facility days before the strikes, then the death narrative serves a dual purpose. First, it allows the leadership to operate without the constant threat of being tracked via public appearances. Second, it creates a martyrdom energy that galvanizes the basage in the IRGC on the ground. Let's talk about the battlefield determination. Since the strikes, Iran has not just retreated into a defensive shell. They have launched some of the most complex drone and missile salvos in the history of the region. This isn't the behavior of a leaderless army. This is the behavior of a force executing a pre-planned continuity of command. If we look at the history of the Islamic Republic, they have been preparing for this exact decapitation scenario since the 1980s. They have built a shadow state within the state. When we hear the title Khamenei is leading the battlefield, it refers to the strategic doctrine he has instilled over 30 years, a doctrine of active deterrence. Even if he is underground, his determination is reflected in the rigid adherence to the escalation ladder. The West may have fallen into a trap of its own making. By declaring victory early, the U.S. and Israel have set a high bar for what success looks like. If Khamenei appears on a video 3 weeks from now, the psychological blow to Western intelligence credibility will be catastrophic. This is the strategy of the ghost. A leader who is dead cannot be pressured by diplomacy. A leader who is dead cannot be held accountable for the actions of his proxies. It gives Iran total deniability while they tighten the noose around the region's energy choke points. Furthermore, we need to analyze the succession race narrative. While the media discusses names like Mojtaba Khamenei or Ali Reza Arafai, these discussions might be a distraction. If the war strategy is to maintain a unified front, then the appearance of succession crisis might be another layer of the mascarovka, the art of deception. While the world looks at the new leader, the old leader continues to sign off on the targeting of U.S. bases in Iraq and Syria. We are seeing a shift to sixth-generation warfare, where the cognitive domain is the primary battlefield. By allowing the world to believe the head of the snake has been cut off, the body of the Iranian military apparatus is allowed to move with a renewed, ferocious independence. They are operating under dread orders, standing instructions to cause maximum disruption if the central command is silenced. This is determination in its purest, most terrifying form. The implications for the global economy are already being felt. With the status of the supreme leader in limbo, the risk premium on oil has skyrocketed. Iran knows that uncertainty is their greatest ally. As long as the world is asking, is he alive, they are not asking, how do we stop the missiles? This ambiguity is a shield. It is a strategy of survival that utilizes the enemy's own media and intelligence leaks against them. As we wrap up this intensive analysis, we are left with a world that is fundamentally transformed. The events of the last few days have proven that we are no longer in an era of conventional conflict. We are in a world of shadows, where the truth is the first casualty and the dead may be more powerful than the living. Whether Ali Khamenei is physically drawing breath in a bunker beneath the Alborz Mountains, or whether his spirit has become the final fuel for a regime on the brink, one thing is undeniable. His determination is the current engine of this war. This war strategy, this calculated ambiguity, is a challenge to everything we know about modern intelligence. If the U.S. and Israel have indeed killed the supreme leader, they have created a vacuum that is being filled with a level of violence and coordination that defies expectations. If they have failed, and he is indeed leading the battlefield, then they have walked into a strategic nightmare. The determination we see in the IRGC's eyes, the precision of the Fata missiles, and the unwavering stance of the Iranian diplomatic corps all point to a system that is far from defeated. This is a war of endurance. It is a war of will. And most importantly, it is a war of narrative. We must remain vigilant. In the coming days, the proof will be demanded by the global public. We will look for videos, for voice notes, for any sign of life. But remember, in this game of grand strategy, the absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence. The battlefield determination of the Islamic Republic is the only evidence we currently have, and suggests a leadership that is very much alive in its intent and its execution. As the smoke clears over Tehran, the real questions begin. How does the West respond to a ghost? How do you negotiate with a regime that claims its leader is martyred, while that same leader's orders are being carried out with lethal efficiency? This is the paradox of the current moment. This is a strategy that has rewritten the rules of Middle Eastern engagement. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive. This is a story that is far from over. It is a story of power, deception, and a determination that seeks to change the course of history. We will be here, tracking every development, analyzing every shadow, and bringing you the truth that lies beneath the headlines. The world is changing, and the war strategy of Ali Khamenei, whether he is in this world or the next, is the focal point of that change. The chessboard is set, the pieces are moving, and the determination of the players has never been higher. We are witnessing the unfolding of a master plan that was decades in the making. Stay tuned, stay informed, and never take the first headline as a final truth. In this conflict, the most important movements are the ones you cannot see.